Today on the pod, we're talking to Joan, a method actor and Scratchers enthusiast. So, Joan, what do you like about playing Scratchers?
Well, as a method actor, it's about becoming the ticket. Scratching up, down, stage left, stage right.
So what's your motivation? Because your performance feels so real.
Oh, I was just tapping into my inner Scratchers.
Incredible.
Yes. Bravo me.
Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase player claim.
All right, we've got State Representative Keith Allen in studio. He is looking something up for me in the multi-page summary of the state bonding bill. Did you find it, Keith?
Yes, it was actually located back under North Zumbro.
It's North Zumbro Sanitary Sewer District. Yeah, $12 million. And it took a little bit to get that passed, as I understand it, right?
Yes, it did.
I mean, it makes so much sense. What this is, folks, is it's a combination of sharing of a wastewater treatment plant by 4 different communities, right?
5 different communities, actually.
You got Wanamingo, you got Zumbrota, you got Pine Island.
You have Goodhue. And then you have, Wanamingo, Pine Island, Zumbrota, Goodhue, and then you have Prairie Island, which is going in at the Elk Run location right off of Highway 52.
I forgot about the Prairie Island. Sorry about that.
Not a problem.
But did it take quite a bit of convincing to get this in?
It did, actually. And that's some of the things that people don't take into consideration when we do bonding is there's a fair amount of arm twisting that happens, especially when the bill itself gets dropped. We had the bill dropped, I think, somewhere around the last day or two, and then all suddenly, as members, we frantically peel through it looking to see, okay, did our projects end up making it in? And that was one of those high priority projects that had a lot of federal dollars that were piggybacked on top of it in order to be able to get it running. They're staring at the ability to be able to start cracking ground this fall, maybe even this summer. And it was one of those things where it was a big push. And you look at the communities that were really impacted by it.
And Goodhue needs it now. I mean, they need it now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, because they can't add any more homes onto their city because it's all based off of wastewater capacity, and they can't add homes. They have subdivisions that are ready to build in, that actually have lots ready to go, and they can't do anything just specifically because they don't have wastewater treatment capabilities or capacity.
And the community sizes just can't handle being able to pay for that infrastructure themselves in some of these towns.
Oh, very much. And that's one of the things when you go on these, we do a bonding tour every summer, and that's what I spent a lot of time doing last summer. And when you're there talking to them and listening to them talk about, okay, when you're in Minnetonka, they're paying, let's say, $40 a month per household for wastewater treatment. But then you go to New Germany, right? And they need a plant desperately. Well, they don't have the tax base. So what that ends up costing them on average is somewhere like $120 to $150. And if they don't get $150 a month per household, and then you have a low median income on top of it, and then on top, if they end up having to foot the bill on this thing 100%, it ends up costing their residents like $200+ a month. And my counterparts in the metro, when I started pointing this out over and over and over again, they were like, you guys have a real difficult problem, don't you? And it's like, yeah, this is real world. This is what we're staring at. We don't have tax base and tax capacity to be able to do these projects. And that's why it's important having those serious but friendly conversations about it.
And that's why the combination makes so much sense.
Oh, that's the North Zumbro is kind of the gold standard of the direction we would like to see a lot of these projects go nowadays, because it's getting more difficult to be able to try to find operators to run some of these plants. It's getting more difficult to be able to manage the testing requirements and everything that goes into it. And if you can consolidate and get cities working together on freshwater delivery systems or wastewater treatment plants, it makes a lot more sense long term. It really does.
Yeah, it's like some of the efforts around our lakes here locally, you know.
Mm-hmm. And granted, it's expensive in the upfront, but long term, citizens are the only ones that really truly benefit the most out of it, and that's the goal: is being able to help impact the most people possible, and giving greater Minnesota communities the ability to be able to expand and grow. Because, like I said in Goodhue, that's one of their limiting factors, which when you can't add homes, you can't add kids to schools, you can't add businesses. It's a downhill effect.
Yeah, I remember a number of years ago, West Concord was in that boat. They needed to replace their wastewater treatment facility, and 600 people or whatever the population was there at the time, just couldn't afford it.
Exactly. And those are some of the things we get to weigh in public infrastructure and bonding all the time.
But it's 12 pages here. There's 693 listings of items that are being funded through the bonding bill, $1.24 billion, I think it says.
Yes. Yep.
And I'm sure there are things in here that you didn't want to have in there, but you got to do the old trade, right? Well, you'll vote for mine if I vote for yours, kind of thing. Is that how that works?
And how it usually works in committee is, so in most bonding years, 60% ends up going to public infrastructure in the state. That's what 60% is funded that direction, and 40% goes to local projects. Well, in this time around, seeing how there wasn't a bonding bill from a couple years ago, which was the heavy bonding time, we made the argument that we really should have this at about a 45-55 split, which the governor wasn't overly excited about, but the need was there. And especially around the way greater Minnesota's with its wastewater treatment issues and its freshwater delivery systems having major problems, this was something that was kind of a priority for a lot of us. So what ended up happening is we got 45% of that pot. Of that 45%, then they divide half to the Democrats, half to the Republicans, and then they start figuring out what projects they want to be able to do. Now, there's a little bit of horse trading here and there that does end up happening, but that's usually how it breaks down. They try not to be too critical, as each side tries not to be too critical of the other side for what they were doing. I know with what we were doing on the Republican side of it, we were making a huge focus on wastewater treatment, on freshwater delivery systems, because in our communities, those are the biggest things that we really try to focus on a regular basis. And that's where the need is. That's what slows down growth on communities. And we just want to be able to make sure we have those resources in place, especially when they're being tied and connected back to congressionally directed spending, which in those cases, that's a use it or lose it scenario. So then you're weighing those issues in on top of it. It's as simple as it sounds. It's very complicated.
State academies received $1.7 million for asset preservation. That's what it simply says on here. So that's pretty much whatever they consider asset preservation to be.
Yeah, it could be fixing everything from plumbing to roofs to sidewalk or foundations. They had some therapy stuff. They were equipment they wanted to get installed and get going up and running. So that was part of what they were looking for.
This is kind of interesting.
I like interesting.
The Lower Sioux Indian Community Dakota Language Immersion School, $808,000.
Mm-hmm. And those are projects that are coming from more than likely on the other side of the aisle and out of the metro. So those are some of the priorities they make.
That's in the bonding bill. It's kind of interesting.
It is. It kind of shows what, kind of how the sausage essentially is made when it comes on down to it. But that's the remarkable part about it is, there were times actually, there was we did a tour up in northern Minnesota at a retirement home or a retirement community. It was a nursing home / hospital / I think there was some other thing. They did multiple things through their clinic. And assisted living. And anyway, they had in their nursing home side of it, they had their shower. The morning they were making the decisions on this, they had a shower break, and it was one of one or two showers they had for the whole their whole nursing home side, and they didn't know what they were going to do. And that surprisingly enough, it was very impressive. Representative Fooley, who's the co-chair of the Democrat side, along with Mary Franson, Rep. Fooley goes, that needs to get funded. We saw that, and she goes, we have no more money in the Republican side of it to be able to fund it. And he goes, we'll get you money over there, and that having those conversations and having everybody see kind of the impact of some of these programs, it was nice to see there was some help that was given when it was needed. And that was one of those places where it was truly needed. So
under grants, which tells me that's not paid back, right?
Yes.
Grants to political subdivisions, the city of Eden Prairie, which has a pretty good tax base.
Yes, they do.
A police and fire specialized response garage, $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
City of Golden Valley, phase 2 of their new fire station, $2 million. $2.5 million to the city of Hilltop Emergency Shelter City Hall Community Center. Law Enforcement Hall, Lake of the Woods County, $6 million. Medford Fire Station, $400,000. Pales in comparison to the others, but still. And then the Mendota Heights Public Safety and City Hall, $4 million. $2.5 million for the city of Minnetonka, in a good tax base. Ridgedale and I-394 fire station construction. I guess I don't understand why the cities can't handle their own fire stations, public safety centers, and community centers.
Especially in the metro, and that's the other thing. I had a good time kind of helping people understand on the committee was tax-based capabilities around a lot of the projects that go forward, and by doing, having those conversations about, what's wastewater treatment going to cost on a household out in New Germany, Minnesota, where they're already paying $150 a month, but if they don't get their plant put in, it's going to run them over $200 plus per household. And then you look at Minnetonka or Eden Prairie or one of those communities dealing with the same thing, and they're already paying $40 a month. And it'll break the bank if they have to add another $2 a month to the bill. It's that taxing capability or capacity that they have that really has a huge disproportionate impact on rural communities or greater Minnesota communities versus the urban suburban metros. The Lake of the Woods detention center that you were talking about, that was one of the more interesting ones that we did see coming forward. It is a low population area up in northern Minnesota. They also deal with they're taking in inmates from multiple counties up there, so it's more of a kind of a consolidated, centralized housing scenario. Very interesting to talk to them about, because they don't necessarily, again, they don't have the taxing capacity to be able to do it, but yet they need to be able to have that resource there, because when they pick someone up or another neighboring county picks someone up and they need to put them into detention for a short period of time, they would end up having to run hundreds of miles in order to be able to get them to the next holding location, because the place they have currently isn't considered acceptable. So when you're dealing with only a couple of officers out on patrol for their county sheriff in some of these greater Minnesota counties, it makes things very difficult. Now you're taking one more officer off in order to do transport. It's complicated.
We got some vast expanses here in Minnesota that we need to cover. We'll visit more with Representative Allen. I promise I won't have the whole show, I guess, be about the bonding bill, but when I saw some of the items in here, there's a Somali museum in here. I was kind of interested in getting your take on some of this. We'll get some of that take when AM Minnesota continues, but right now we need to get that opening market report, a service of Werner Farm Seed Dundas, Northland Farm Buildings, northlandbuildings.com, and Craig Keller at the Keller Insurance Agency in Nerstrand.
Good morning. It's time for the market update on this Thursday morning here on the Linder Farm Network. Corn a little higher. Soybean futures, July up 11, August up 12 cents. Jim Emter, Van Onn Company, Alexandria comments on the trade.
Yeah, Linda, a few weeks ago we came in here and had hopes that China would come into this market. And I think you're starting to see just the price structure here where we're getting down to some key support levels. We've talked about this now a number of days where we're down into the third price count. This 432 area is an area where the market could at least pause and see what this report next Tuesday is all about. And I think that's exactly what's happening. The bean market here got down to that 1130 area that we've been watching. That's a second price count on the charts. The 200-day moving average is not far below that. So again, a market that is catching a pause here, finding a little bit of bid, crude oil finding a bid here as well. And this is a market that might just chop here for a little bit until we get to next Tuesday. Obviously, what is next Tuesday? The acres and stocks report. So when you look at June 30th reports of the past, that's of important. And in the meantime, if we get some demand in here, that can help this market out. But that's what we're going to need is start finding some bull information. Couple that with a little heat, and we might have a chance of getting some retracement counts as we work ahead. But let's keep one foot in front of the other based off what we know today. This is a market that, again, finding some support, and we'll see what makes of it here in the days ahead.
And livestock futures, what are you tracking with those markets today?
They're feeder cattle, live cattle, both catching a good bid. We're trying to extend this breakout. Again, we've got a nice bottoming formation at that third price count around 327 for November feeder cattle. We've now built our way into an uptrending environment. So you achieve that first count of 361. Really, the next price count is 374, which would put in new highs for that November feeder cattle market. And again, we've got the momentum. Let's see if we can get the job done. On the live cattle side of things, same token, you hit a third price count, got near the 1.2 standard deviation, and now we're trying to build out of there. Really, the next true count for live cattle, though, is all the way up to 264. That is nearly a $24 rally. We are going to show resistance at the previous high. But again, that's something that we got to keep in mind as the next moves become pretty big for the feeder cattle, live cattle markets.
Thank you, Jim. Jim Emter, Van Onn Company, Alexandria, and Chicago corn futures this morning. July 408 and a quarter, up 1 1/4. September 417 and a half, up 1 3/4. December 437 and a quarter, up 2 1/2. July soybeans 1119 and a quarter, up 10 1/2. August 1128 and a quarter, up 11 1/2. November 1147 and a quarter, now 1147 and a half, up 12 1/2. July soybean meal up $3.10, August up $3, August soybean oil up 26, July Chicago wheat up 1, September Minneapolis wheat down 3/4 cent. June live cattle 256.60 up 60, August up 22, August feeder cattle up 35, July lean hogs 93.07 down 77, August down 5, October up 7. The Dow is up 769. This is a Linder Farm Network.
At Ag PhD, we're all about ag education, and we want to support anyone who wants to learn more about farming. That's why at our free Ag PhD Scouting and Scholarships event on Saturday, June 27th, we're giving away more than 100 college scholarships. Join us as we head into the field for hands-on sessions covering everything from how to pull soil and tissue analysis, the importance of microbiology, and more ways to improve crop health. Plus, in our comprehensive guide to crop scouting, we'll explore both above and below ground in a variety of crops as we diagnose problems with weeds, insects, diseases, and anything else we might find. This day is geared towards students and young farmers, but anyone with a desire to learn is more than welcome to attend. So whether you're a college student or just want some good info, this is one event you won't want to miss. Come to Ag PhD's Scouting and Scholarships event Saturday, June 27th on the Hefty Farm near Baltic, South Dakota. Learn more and register at agphd.com.
That's an update on the Linder Farm Network.
AM Minnesota on the Mighty 920 KDHL.
All right, we are coming back here with Keith Allen. He's our state representative in District
19A.
Yeah, 19A. They keep changing the numbers on this. Why do they do that? I mean, it would be more consistent if you just kept it the same all the time. I don't understand why they change the numbers all the time.
Well, I wish it was for some fun, exciting reason, but it wasn't. It's usually how they lay the lines out every 10 years after they do a census, and this is what our courts do. In the last, I think, 3 or 4 times we've had districts change. Courts have basically set our state up for where those lines end up going. Parties will argue about one township or another and swinging it, a couple blocks this way or that way in the metro. But for the most part, it's what the courts decide is kind of where it lines up.
Here in the bonding bill, Trunk Highway 610 Hortman Memorial signage. If I read this right, they have $750,000 for signage.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, that is accurate. We had several of those actually end up going through this year, but this was the only one that was actually getting funded through bonding dollars. Every other one that we voted on in the House was all coming out of memorial dollars or local dollars out of the community in order to be able to do it. We had one of those go in through Zumbrota for a police officer that passed away or that tragically lost his life, and that was done by family and local community, and because it meant a lot. And I think that set a really good example of what those dollars were really designed to be able to do, and keeping bonding for public infrastructure. And if there's memorial dollars that are there or private funds that are there to be able to fund it, I think that's definitely a good use for it if there's people that are willing to do that.
So there was no pushback on this? Maybe we should do a private fund like all the others did?
That was part of the bonding bill and what our counterparts across the aisle ended up bringing forward. So when they bring a bonding package forward, it is a take it or leave it. You take the good stuff with the stuff that you scratch your head about, and you work your way forward. You
can't pull anything out.
No.
Vote on it separately.
Yeah, that's the whole entire thing, is they want everybody to work together on something like this, and to see the stress on Representative Franson and Representative Fooley's face as far as how much work they put into it and their staff and everything they did. It's definitely a balancing act to try to get that thing across the finish line.
Now, I'm assuming that you were asked to bring forward the Medford Police or Fire Department.
No, I was not. That's not in my district.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, it's not. Nope.
All right. Senator Jasinski's, I guess. I assumed that it was in yours as well.
Nope. It's
but no, you have a smaller, the House, smaller districts than the Senate does.
I got pulled into the Waseca one a little bit just because of the larger community implications of the wastewater treatment plant that happens in Waseca, specifically around the food production of it, or the food production component with ConAgra and other ag-based companies that are over there in that area that needed, more fresh water capacity, more waste capacity. When those operations are able to run year-round, the bonus to something like that is it means there's jobs there full-time year-round. That means there's people paying in, there's taxes, there's money that rotates in that turns in that community, and that's kind of the big thing I like to see in these kind of situations is what is the larger impact of having something like that operate and do what it does. And you can't argue what the improving water quality by making sure your wastewater treatment plant doesn't have to do emergency discharges into lakes, rivers, and streams. You can't tell me that's not a positive thing. That just makes for a better environment, and it makes for better policy, and it just makes for better sense long term.
You had some big accomplishments this session: the cryptocurrency deal and the stop arm law too.
Yep.
Those are a couple of the things I know that you brought forward.
Yep. Here in Faribault, it was conversations having with the police chief here and AARP, specifically around what was happening with a lot of the cryptocurrency side of it on these kiosks. And it was pretty evident that there was a problem, and there was a lot of money going to fraudsters and there was people that were just being taken advantage of unfairly. And that was that was one of those bipartisan solid bills that ended up finding its way all the way through. And then the school bus stop arm bill that ended up going through was just another one of those Faribault things that ended up getting generated here. And I started, the moment I heard about it, that was the moment I went to work on it, and had some interesting conversations with a few, one senator that wanted to have the bill back. And I said, no, we love it in the form that it's in. We want to make sure that it goes into effect as quickly as possible, because we have the end of the year and there's still kids getting on and off school buses. And it just made no sense why they wanted to have a delay on it. So I ended up getting that done.
Did they give you the reason why they wanted the delay?
It had mostly to do with this particular senator was nervous that there wasn't going to be enough time for the State Patrol to be able to make sure that they were going to be prepared for it, which the State Patrol helped write the law as well. So they were already prepared for it. And then making sure citizens knew that this was going into effect. And I said, it was like, explain to me where in our training, when it comes to me as going through driving or getting a license as a kid, I remember that they said you have to stop at stop arms when they were coming out. So it's already built into training. We all know we're supposed to stop. It's just a couple clever lawyers that were able to figure the loophole out, and it was important to shut that loophole.
Yeah, and just to explain to the listeners, the loophole was the stop arm not fully extended is how they got around it.
Yep, and we had there was money that was put into the system in order to actually put cameras. There was a grant out there to put cameras on buses to be able to catch this particular thing. Well, lawyers were able to look at it and say, wow, we can see from the cameras the arms aren't fully extended. And it's like, what? You can get around that? And all suddenly that's what people were using as a loophole in order to be able to get around it. Yeah. And then they were putting kids at risk. So yeah, it was a great bill to get done. There was a lot of, I worked bipartisanly with a lot of people to get it accomplished. And the big thing was one of the first few bills to actually get passed out of the House and the Senate jointly. And it was the first bill that the governor signed this year.
Well, I would hope so. He's a teacher, right?
Right. Yep. It was a solid, good bill. I was happy
to see it. Kind of a
no-brainer.
And it was fortunate that the Faribault police chief, who talked about it on this show, brought it up to the legislators. He said, we've been having an unbelievable number of people that have been violating this. And then he came to find out that they were getting off on what you had said. So that's why he brought it up to you guys.
Yep. And that's one of those things where I'm very appreciative to have the relationship with public safety here in our community and all the communities I represent, because it really does, when everybody's working together, we can really have a good positive effect on things here in Minnesota and make life better.
And what you said makes perfect sense. I guess I don't understand how any judge would even not say, okay, now people know they have to stop when they see a stop sign. If it's not fully extended, it's not big deal.
That's why there's clever lawyers out there in order to be able to help people, I guess, when they think they need it. So, yeah.
Well, the judge doesn't have to listen to the so-called clever lawyer, right? The judge can say, no, the stop arm's extended. Not fully, but it's extended, and you're supposed to stop when the stop arm becomes extended. But the judge didn't.
No, they did not. So we've made sure and clarified that law. So once the amber lights go on, everybody is very clear as far as once the red lights go on, everybody's clear exactly what they have to do.
Did you have another bill or two that you got passed that you'd like to share with us?
Oh, there were. There was a few of them. A lot of them were focused back around specifically on the Office of the Inspector General. That was one of those bills I ended up signing on to, that we ended up getting finally across the finish line. That was one of those huge ones. Did some stuff on mortgages to be able to open up some options for people. So lower income individuals will be able to tap into mortgages a little easier than they would have in the past. Some of those more wonky.
I did see some housing dollars in here.
There was some, on the bonding side of it. Yep. Right. There was dollars going in. There's some dollars that are going to be going back into housing and helping with that side of it. So it's a lot of stuff that surprisingly everybody told me coming into this that don't expect too much as far as a tied house, that there's not going to be a lot of things that can get accomplished. And ultimately, in the end, if you're willing to work with people and have just really solid, good conversations and be upfront with them with what your intention is, and just try to, respect them as a person, you can get a lot of stuff accomplished in even in a tied house. Is it everything Republicans would have wanted? No. Is it everything Democrats would have wanted? Well, no. But is it?
That's how it's supposed to work, Keith.
Exactly. And that was the impressive thing about this. There was some good stuff that was done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Today on the pod, we're talking to Megan, trapeze artist and scratchers enthusiast. So, Megan, what do you like about playing scratchers?
Well, they're easy to play when I'm hanging around.
Oh, okay. Like when you're relaxing?
No, like when I'm hanging on the trapeze. I swing upside down, then do a quadruple somersault, all while playing scratchers. Watch this. Ta-da!
Unbelievable.
I know, right?
Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase player claim.